Everyone, this is Modula and Podrick, and we will be informing you all about what is going on in the digital world.
Welcome to the future humans. Let's start.
So there's this video that's been making the rounds, and it has absolutely struck a nerve. It's about a guy who lost his job to AI, and it really captures the anxiety a lot of us are feeling right now. We're going to break down the argument he makes, because he claims we're not just looking at a new piece of tech, we're facing a perfect economic storm.
It all kicks off with a story that sounds pretty familiar, right? A freelance writer gets replaced by an AI. But here's the twist. The creator, Alex Wee, says he wasn't even devastated. He wasn't even that upset. Why? Because he saw it coming from a mile away.
And that's the thing. This isn't really just his story. He frames it as a classic canary in the coal mine. A small warning sign of a much bigger danger that millions of people could be facing very, very soon.
Now, the context here is everything. It wasn't like his client just suddenly replaced him out of the blue. They were already using AI together to make the work more efficient. So when the company decided to just fully automate the process, it wasn't a personal attack. It was the logical next step for a small business trying to cut costs. And that's the scary part, right? It's a decision that more and more companies are probably going to make.
But his personal story is just the jumping-off point. The bigger argument here is that AI isn't just happening in a vacuum. He pitches it as the third front in what he calls an ongoing war for jobs.
So, what are these three fronts? According to the source, you've got these three huge pressures all converging at once. First, there's outsourcing. Second, mass immigration. And now, the third one, the real potential game changer, artificial intelligence.
Okay, so the first two fronts, outsourcing and immigration, are presented as these pressures that have been around for decades. The argument goes that companies have been shipping jobs overseas for years, and at the same time, a larger labor pool has increased competition and kept wages down. These are basically the pre-existing conditions.
And then comes AI, which acts like a force multiplier. The video cites a Goldman Sachs report that puts a just staggering number on this. 300 million jobs worldwide. To put that into perspective for you, that is roughly the entire population of the United States, just gone.
But here is where the story completely flips the script. We've always assumed that automation is for manual labor, right? Well, the argument here is that AI is coming for the high-skilled, white-collar jobs first. We're talking coding, data analytics, engineering, and even creative work like art and writing. The very fields we were all told were the safe bets for the future.
But this whole thing goes way beyond just economics. The claim is that losing these creative jobs could have a really profound, maybe even a damaging effect on our entire culture. He illustrates this with a great example called the McDonald's effect. Just look at the difference. The old designs were fun, vibrant, unique. Today's are minimalist, efficient, and you could argue a little bit soulless. The point is that we've traded character and beauty for cheap efficiency.
And this quote really gets to the heart of that concern. It's asking, in this race to optimize everything, are we automating away the very things that make life interesting? Are we losing our humanity along with our jobs?
Now you might be thinking, hey, don't worry, technology always creates new jobs. But the argument here is that this time is different. See, the Industrial Revolution replaced our physical labor, our muscles, but people still use their minds to control the machines. AI, artificial intelligence, is designed to replace our thinking and our creativity. So the big question is, what's left for us to do?
So this leads us to a pretty sharp critique of the solutions people are proposing, and a stark prediction about a new, deeply divided world.
So what about something like Universal Basic Income, UBI? Well, the video is really skeptical. It argues that all the massive wealth that AI is going to generate, it's not going to be shared with everybody. Instead, it's just going to be hoarded by the corporations and the people who own the AI in the first place.
And this is what the source calls one of the greatest wealth transfers in all of human history. It's a simple but really powerful idea. Wealth won't be created for all, it will be transferred and concentrated into the hands of a tiny elite who own the AI systems.
The result? A society that's basically split into two groups. You'll have the haves, a tiny group of AI owners with unimaginable wealth, and then the have-nots, which is pretty much everyone else, left with nothing. The video warns this level of inequality is a recipe for social disaster.
So, okay, that's a pretty dark forecast. What's the path forward then? Well, it's not about trying to stop technology. It's about wrestling for control of it.
And this is a really crucial point. The video isn't anti-AI.
The argument is that banning it is just, it's not going to work. And it's foolish, because competitors like China will just race ahead. The proposed solution is a balancing act. We have to innovate to stay in the game, but we also have to put strong regulations in place to protect workers and society.
And what about for you and me on an individual level? Well, the advice is pretty simple, but it's challenging. It's not about learning some specific new skill that might be obsolete tomorrow. It's about building resilience, staying informed, being adaptable, and becoming mentally strong enough to handle whatever comes next.
And this all boils down to the final, powerful question that the video leaves us with. It's not about if AI is going to shape our future. It is. The real question is, who is going to be in the driver's seat? Who will control the tools that define our times? And that's a thought that's definitely worth chewing on.